Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 221 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Go to fdfineartsassociation.org to find out more about the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association believes the arts should be accessible to everyone, and so do we. So check them out. Definitely, we love them for all their support. Thank you very much, Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Also, if you haven't checked it out, we did a podcast with Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. They have their own podcast, as a matter of fact. So it's on our channel. If you listen to us on your podcast services, that's where you'll find it. If you want to watch the video version, it's on their YouTube channel. It's also on our YouTube channel. But check it out. All the views and everything go to theirs. I'm just kind of like hosting a playlist on my channel. So if you want to watch it, you don't know where their channel is, go to Audible Farm's channel, click over to their channel from there. Check it out. It's a fun episode. We're going to do one of those a month, I believe. So check that out. Thank you very much to the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. This episode, I'm sitting down with Clint Riedel, everybody's buddy. My buddy, your buddy. We love him. Everybody loves Clint Riedel. This is like his, 7th, 8th time on the podcast? I don't know. He was one of the more frequent guests when the podcast was in its heyday, I would say. So, he's just a buddy of mine. We hung out a lot. We played a lot of music together. We were always going to shows, doing stuff, hanging out, going to jam nights, whatever it happened to be. And he was just easily accessible always. So if you are new to the podcast, get ready to hear more from Clint, because Clint's usually one of the more frequent guests on here. And I like talking to him. Everybody likes talking to him. And that's why he's on the podcast a lot, because everybody loves him. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you're looking for more backstory, go back and listen to the old episodes. He was one of the first guests I ever had on. So maybe like episode 10, 12, 11, 9, 7, 14, whatever, somewhere in there. Check them out. Yeah, this episode's really good too. So we're going to catch up with Clint, see what he's got going on. Cue the music.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
What's up, dude? It's been a while since we've talked.
Yeah, maybe, for real.
I don't know. I don't have any of the stats down. I probably should have prepared a little bit for some of this.
No, we're just excited to have it back, man. Long live Audible Farm.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what the difference would be, whether or not this was here or not, but we're giving it another run, so here we are.
I'm excited to see it. And to all the listeners out there, Pete is being modest right now. So we just had a jam Thursday at the Eagles, legendary Gina's joint, and Pete was on stage, of course, as always, and every other musician in that room said, hey, when are you going to make another podcast? When are you going to record another episode?
Well, the whole reason behind that was Scott Kirkhart with the whole hashtag bring back Audible Farm thing. He would just bother people about it, and he would tell people to tell me about it. So oh God, yeah, good. You need to bother Pete about this. Okay, fine. So of course, thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
Paid off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's definitely back. Again, we were talking a little bit before we were recording here. I'm not 100% sure what's gonna happen, but we're here, we're doing it, we're recording episodes, and we're doing things. As of the day we're recording this, I don't know when this is gonna come out. It might take a few weeks. Yep. It might take a month, I don't know, but we're putting some in the can and seeing what happens.
I don't care if you wait for a sweet release party a decade from now, but just keep interviewing people and running around. This is the first time you're at my house. I just got a house.
Just record all these and never put them out.
Yeah.
Like one of those people that, I don't know, there's a name for them, but they just go to shows and record it. And then it's why are you recording all this? I don't know.
They're called deadheads.
Yeah, I mean, well, the
I got a bunch of those friends. Yeah.
The deadheads for sure did it, but yeah, I got buddies that still do that. It's pretty wild, but it's kind of crazy to think you've been on the podcast more than anyone. You were on
I was hoping. I was doing some counts, and I was
it's you and Scott Kirkhart are the number 1 and 2, I think. But I met you through the podcast. That's how we first interacted.
It's been so long. Honestly, I think our first interaction was at legendary Gina's joint, and we were at the jam at the time. Jeremy Ober was putting it all together, still does, and I think I just saw you play guitar. I think that was the first time I saw you.
Okay.
We never really like, hey man, good job up there. And you're like,
yeah, that might have actually been it. We might have actually played together there. It was either then or it was right after I'd met you. We played there together. And it was like, okay, because it might have been at Gina's though. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I saw you solo the first time though.
Yeah, I used to go play a lot of like jams and go do my own songs and stuff, but I just don't anymore. I don't know.
Well, think how many relationships has been built on that.
Yeah, I mean, just on the podcast alone, because I think you were like the 10th person maybe on the podcast or something. You know, like I was first starting it, and it was like, I don't know who this guy is, but let's listen to some of his music and go talk to him. You know, and that's what I did, and that's the podcast. You know, which is kind of crazy. I just randomly would talk to people, you know, about stuff. So like, I guess if you tuned in now and you're just like, I don't know what the heck you guys are talking about. What is this podcast? I just found it. Oh, yeah. The internet's so big. I don't know what's going on. It's like, well, this was a podcast for like 4.5 years almost, you know, a little over 4 years.
I will do the explaining since he is too humble.
I just explained it.
No, not at all. You summarized it well.
Well,
you didn't explain
I wasn't
it.
done.
So Pete,
I wasn't done.
Okay. I will let you finish if you want, but I could just
go for it. See what you got.
All right,
man. Hit me.
So Pete was the dude who was just out there grinding. Not only was he a musician in a handful of bands, but he was also trying to help out the youth, like young musicians. He was giving like guitar lessons, and he was also going to school at the time and making this podcast with just local nobodies like myself. And then all of a sudden, I've got a bunch more followers, and you know, people actually like I've seen it in real life. Pete walks into a bar and they're like, "You're the podcast guy." And, you know,
that's
so
me.
Like, yeah, they don't remember you from Three Finger Betty or from your guitar instruction or from Clint Riedel and The Truth or from Jesse Wilson and Friends. And what bands am I you just played with Faster Horses. What band am I leaving out that you haven't played with?
Yeah, I don't know. Played with over the summer, you know, just
see this humble pie over here.
Yeah, I mean, I get it done. Some shows are better than others when I do fill-in gigs, but that's just kind of how it goes, you know. But yeah, I was doing a lot while I was doing the podcast, and it was at the time like something I really wanted to do, and I thought it was fun. And
now the goodness of your own heart, it's not like you're making $1,000 on this, you know. Jesus.
No. There's I've restructured how I'm going to go about doing this, but it's definitely not going to be the same way it was before. I think I'm going to do things slightly differently, but I just need to figure out exactly how I'm going to do it. I need to make it easier for myself, et cetera, et cetera.
Agreed. You were grinding. I didn't use that word lightly. You were. I don't know when you slept, but you did.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. Like there was a point in time where like I was doing the podcast while like I lived in Humboldt but worked in Emmitsburg and took night classes like 3 nights a week down in Des Moines. So and somehow I'm in like 3 bands and playing shows and doing a podcast. You know, it's just it's pretty wild, but
it's called youth, America. You can do it when you're young.
Yeah, no kidding. That's probably what it was. Time just caught up to me, which is like, I mean, neither here nor there. But I'm very fortunate to have had the podcast though, because it was, you know, it allowed me to do what I really wanted to do, and it added exposure to, like, indirectly to, like, me and all of my friends and just random people I'd never met before that, like, were found through the podcast. And, like, I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but I interviewed so many people that I'd, like, scroll back through it and be like, I don't know if I know this person. And then you, like, look at the description, you're like, oh, I know who this person is. And it's like, you know, but the music scene's always so like ever changing. There's people I interviewed that like don't play music anymore.
Oh, sure.
You know, or
oh God, and the amount of people like what's his name? Not Morby.
Or Morbo.
Yeah. So I caught him at Byron's, and when you were explaining, because you had done a podcast with him, like
Marbin.
Yes.
Marbin.
Do you even shred, bro?
Yes. That's totally different than Morbo, but hey, Marbin for sure. Yes.
So, like, you had to get a conference call from, like, he was in Chicago at the time or something?
No, he went through Des Moines, played a show at Lefty's, and I met him at a coffee shop, and he did a podcast with me.
See,
But-
like, those interactions, and then, like, to see him at Byron's, and you already met him, interviewed him, got to get inside of his head, and you're
Yeah.
like, check this out.
Yeah, it's wild. You know,
Yeah.
that's another one where, like, people are just like, what? How did this happen? It's like, well, Danny's not a bad guy. He's easy to talk to. You know, Danny Rabin, he's all over social media all the time. I figured he'd just be like, whatever, why not? And I'd probably seen him like 4 or 5 times. And every time you see him, it's not like at a gigantic mundo place where you can't say hi to him afterwards if you really want to. So you just go say hi and thank you and walk away or whatever.
And then, like, damn, you're talented.
Yeah, you know, or like another time I went and saw him, we showed up early and it's like, oh, he's at a coffee shop over here. And it's like, hey, what's up? And, you know, and you go talk to him a little bit at the coffee shop and, you know, let him be about his day, you know. But then he like remembers you and it's like, hey, did you want to do a podcast? And it's like, yeah, sure, why not? And it was one of the, you know, I don't want to say like one of the bigger ones, but it was like one of the weirder ones because it's like I don't really usually interview people with, you know, 250,000 Facebook followers or whatever he has.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's so crazy. So I don't know. There's some of that stuff that I think about sometimes where I'm like, wow, this is pretty wild that this is happening.
I can't brag enough about this podcast.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I've interviewed people that like I said, that are like historic figures in music. And I've interviewed people that were like just starting out. I've interviewed not just musicians, but other people too. 'Cause like I like things other than just music. So,
Sure.
But
You and Jeremy share a love for professional wrestling.
yep, I've interviewed some professional wrestlers and or promoters and things like that, comedians and venue owners and whatnot. You know, like there was an uptick in the listens to the podcast when Byron's, you know, was in the news here and there. And it's
You
like,
betcha.
oh, hey, there you go. Legendary Byron's. I did a podcast with Byron at Byron's.
Oh, that man has a real good following.
You know?
Yep.
And I saw Marvin play at Byron's,
yeah.
you know, years ago, you know, before they came through this last time, you know.
That blew me away. Not to like bring it back to that, but that show was great.
Yeah, those guys are wild. If you've never seen it, go check it out. But yeah, I mean, and I'm very fortunate with the podcast because of this podcast, I was able to like get a job at a marketing company, you know, like when I needed a job, and it was just kind of fell into my lap. And, you know, I kind of like talked about it a little bit on a previous episode, but it's like, you know, that's basically what I do now is podcasting. So, this is still my like love and passion project here on the side, and it always will be. You know, I'm always going to have this for me, but otherwise, yeah, I do just dink around with podcast stuff, you know, in my day-to-day job, which is pretty cool. So, you know, this afforded me the opportunity to basically get a job, you know, which is wild. You know, I never thought I'd, you know, actually make money doing this, you know, in some capacity instead of just like
being a musician. Like, seriously, you're gonna let me come into your establishment and you're gonna pay me money to sing my stories? Okay.
Yeah, it's that weird break point though, where it's like you got to pay your dues at first, so you got to do stuff and get a catalog, and then people will respect you, and then blah 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 blah. Then you can people will pay you to do what you're doing, and it's like I don't know if I ever bridged that gap or whatever somehow.
You paid your dues, man.
So either way, we're back at it. The podcast is here again. So that's pretty wild. But it's crazy to think about how much has changed since then, you know, when the podcast was going and when it stopped until like now. So I'm just going to double check down here that we're doing all the stuff we need to be doing. Looks like everything's still recording, so I'm going to leave that in. I'm not going to edit it out.
No, heck no. We're on location at this point.
Yeah.
How many times do you do that?
So
well, damn near every.
I think everything's working. Like, you don't know what we had to go through just to get everything to work here. Took a trip to a Dollar General and everything. So
thank God. What did Molly just say? Oh, my wife just refused to be the first band wife interviewed by Peter Stockdale because she was like, I'm not ready for my debut. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But she said she made a good point. She was like, people watch your Dollar General bags because they blow out and plant more Dollar Generals. And we have one in Pomeroy, Iowa now. Just cornfield, beanfield, Dollar General.
It works. It had what I needed in Pomeroy. Like, I was just thinking, like, I'm going to have to drive back to Fort Dodge to get an SD card or something.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Oh, plug it all in. Hey, it works. Cool. That's exactly what I need this to do. Let's take it inside. Take it inside. Open everything back up. Doesn't work. And it's like, oh, well, I guess we'll just get an SD card and do it the long way. But whatever. You know?
New equipment. The first time you interviewed me, you had maybe a 2-track recorder or a 2-line. Yeah.
Yep. So
he's moving up, people.
Yeah, moving up. It's literally just the same thing, a little bit bigger. Like I don't know. The other one had 4 channels you could record on, but the other 2 were just fixed microphones that were on it. So
it still looked like an alien device. I thought you were measuring like ectoplasm.
It looked like a stun gun or something kind of too. It was like, what is this nonsensey thing? But yeah, I don't know. Just little handheld portable recorders. I mean, you can go get them. They're pretty cheap, but
it's called paying dues.
Yep. So either way, I don't know. I don't know if you ever sat in my studio and got recorded though. It's kind of weird. But the studio wasn't really a studio. It was just my room in the basement that I hang out in with guitar junk. So
I was going to say I sat down there and did a bunch of equipment testing though.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Evan Pratt. Come to find out, only one line was broken on both of those speakers.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. We were like on our way to a show, or you were driving through town to do something, and was just like, these don't work, and we tested them. It's like, well, they kind of do. So we Band-Aid over,
sure,
a pretty big wound, but it worked. So everything worked. But,
and pass it forward, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just like tinkering with stuff though too. You can kind of just be like, what's wrong here? Can we figure it out? Can we fix it? Can we get around it? Doesn't matter. Whatever. You
still have footage of you repairing a guitar I put my foot through?
Yeah, that's still online. That gets a lot of views.
Right on. It works great, everyone.
It's just I don't know, just a broken. Go check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. I hope that's where you're watching or whatever. If you do the podcast thing, that's cool too. So. Either way, subscribe on YouTube again. If you unsubscribed, I don't know. Otherwise, thank you for listening.
And another thing you may not know about this, he's also a video producer.
Yeah, I've done stuff.
All my videos, Peter Stockdale, everyone.
Well, I will say this. Like, I talk about it. We're just gonna bridge the gap here again. I'm gonna try not to like bring it up every time, but I host another podcast. It's called the Spin Market Report.
Oh, mention them all.
And what it does is we like talk to people about marketing. And the point that I like to bring up is like, sometimes it's better to hire other people to do things because they know more than you. Like can you do plumbing? It's like, well, maybe, but it's probably best to just hire a plumber, or like, can you fix your car? It's like, well, kind of, but I'd probably better hire a mechanic for some of this stuff, like, so there's some things it's like, I gotta hire this out. I don't know what's going on, so that's sometimes like graphic design and things like that are like that. We're like, I can do video production.
I was going to say you're the hired gun when it comes to record audio, video, and...
But the other thing is like going around and like seeing what professionals produce. Like people are just like, oh, this is what good cameras and like and people with like the eye for, like I have a decent eye for photos, but seeing people that are actually have like a really good eye for it, and they're just like, oh, I just took this picture for fun. It's like, how did you even think to take that? Like,
well, just like in the music industry though, when it comes to that. It's equipment. Equipment goes a long ways. When I was gigging on a 2-channel, Acoustonic Junior, sure, that works great for a hot second, but then someone says, go get yourself another guitar and a PA kid. You were doing, you did great with what you have.
That's true.
Imagine if you had one of those sweet little... I wouldn't even know what to call it.
Well, the other thing is like watching how there's like people that do like graphic design, which I'm not the best at, but they're like watching them do that, and it's like, holy crap, this is insane. Like how like they could put out 10% effort, and what they could do in like an hour I would have to put out 100% effort for like a week to come up with something that's even like a decent facsimile of like what they just did.
Well, I think if you spent your entire work week doing just that, you'd be just as good as those people, because it's all about the shortcut. Like when I was in graphic design in Ellsworth Community College many, many years ago, I just didn't understand a computer, and I still don't to this day. But there were people that were just flying through, and my effort, just like you said, it took me a week to do what they did in an hour, but it was just as good. But the effort of taking a week to do it was a huge turnoff. Like, well, this isn't my bag.
Well, again, sometimes it's like, well, you could do it, but just sometimes it's best
Yep.
just to have somebody else do it.
I'm going to call like that gutters place and have them come over and assess my stuff and clean it out and then just tell them I'm not going with them.
Oh my gosh, come on. That's marketing, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm just kidding. But like, that's just, I honestly, like, I'll stand behind that forever. Because like, again, I can dink with stuff a little bit, but I can't really even start to fathom to do what some of the people at work
We
there
can put
do.
the spare tire on, but we're not going to change the new tire onto the old rim.
Yeah, I could do the brakes, but I don't have the right tools, and I'm going to yell a bunch while I'm doing it, and have to get on YouTube with greasy fingers. And
I'd rather pet my cat for 20 minutes while I'm sitting there waiting.
100%. So that's like we talk about that a lot, and that, you know, so I do videography, like, but it's not. It looks great, but it's not.
Check out Hey There Ma.
Yeah.
Peter Stockdale.
Music video. It's actually on our channel.
Very nice.
It's crazy. On the YouTube channel, which, go subscribe. But I don't know. Not to try to be like, oh, I'm not the best. But like, there's people out there that are doing this.
I like your work, man. Oh, yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot. So I've got a new single coming out with a whole bunch of people on it, locals. And I'm going to need a video.
Okay, yeah.
So right now on camera and microphone.
Sure. Yeah,
all right, cool.
We'll see what happens.
Pete will be producing my next music video. It's called Merrily I Go.
I'm very busy, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. Also, the music videos aren't anything like crazy. There's not like giant broad stories being told in them or anything.
No, that's what I like about it. It's just a simple but nice capture, like cinematography. It's captured.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, again, that's a big thing I think about, like, art. So you were just like, I don't want to put out a single. Earlier you were talking before the podcast. Like, I don't really know if I want to put out a single, but you just have a single song that's recorded by itself by one person. Jesse recorded it, Jesse Wilson.
Everybody was on board.
A lot of people are on that song. So, like, long story short, the song's going to come out. It's a single, hooray. But you're kind of like, man, I don't know if I really want to put out a single. But, like, the whole thing is, like, you have to put it out. You have to put something out. You can't just record it and not put it out. Like,
grab
what's the
some
point
attention quick and then
or just you just have to make something. So it's like me making the music videos. Like, I made 2 for you, and I've done like other goofy videos on the side. So it's like, what can I can like do this stuff. There's a lot of other people that can do it a lot better. They would charge money for it, where like I'm usually doing it on the arm on my free time because I was bored.
Yeah.
Which, whatever.
That's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing today?
Both of those were like a noon to evening time project. Like,
Yep.
and they were done before the evening. So, like, could I spent more time on it, made it look better? Maybe. Whatever. But
the song was done in one take. Why wouldn't we one take the video?
Yeah. So, I don't know. There is a difference between, like, professional quality and my quality. But again, the thing is, like, if you just make something, you just have to make something. You have 2 music videos, and other people don't have any because they're just like, I don't know if I want to make music videos. It's like, just make the thing.
Yeah, it's not the 90s. You don't have to go to Hollywood to make a music video anymore, which, oh my God, technology.
Yeah.
Like, you can record a really decent video and go all out if you want on your phone.
Yes.
Blows me away.
Yes.
That was not a possibility in my childhood.
Well, I mean, we know people that have used professional videographers and photographers.
And they look great, but
For music videos, you know.
You can damn near do it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it does. Theirs look like movies almost, you know, like trailers for a full movie. It's pretty wild. Like, not that they're like staggeringly different, but it's like you look at it and you're like, oh, that's different.
Well, we got all these talented friends, and like the degree of like, even just guitar level, like there's degree of friends. Like there's me, there's Jeremy Ober, you know, like with different levels, and like
just different.
Tim, he's got great equipment, does great work. And then I remember the first video Jesse shot that I was in. It was a pal of his, I think from California. I can't remember his name.
I don't remember, but yeah, it was.
I've been in all his music videos, and he's planning a new one right now. Jesse and I both played on Saturday for a benefit. That was the first of my 2 charitable shows this weekend. I played last night, and it went really well over at Rutland for the Peace Creek Animal Sanctuary.
Okay.
And people showed up. It was a puzzle and guzzle. But anyway, Jesse and I both donated our time earlier that afternoon. You showed up and played guitar.
Yep, for a little bit.
It was wonderful. Humboldt's, I guess it would be like a Living History Farms museum.
Yeah, it's like Historical Society or something.
Cool little spot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's public place, but I don't know how public it is. Like they have events out there sometimes, and you can like drive through and like look at the buildings because they have little signs out in front of them.
But otherwise, they're padlocked doors. And
yeah, I don't know. Again, it's like their museum kind of for Humboldt out there. Basically, like they have. I think I remember seeing like the Rutland jailhouse is there.
Oh, nice. We just moved it over here.
Yeah, and it's like a tiny shed that like not even a lawnmower would barely fit in.
Feels like jail.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, imagine being stuck in this thing in the summertime. How hot it is in there. But it feels like summer camp. Remember going to summer camp? Ugh.
Who was the guy that used to put up the Halloween or the Christmas decorations?
Merlin Fort.
Oh my God, we would travel growing up in Rowan. We would travel to your town.
Oh yeah, I knew people from down near Des Moines that would come up.
Unreal. I guess you couldn't put that kind of display up nowadays, but
dude, it's wild. That was crazy stuff. If you never heard of it, look it up. Christmas lights, Dakota City or Humboldt, Iowa. It'll probably show up. Yeah, guy made a huge display.
That was my childhood.
That's wild stuff. Yeah, it was my childhood too. It's like crazy to try and explain it to people that don't understand, or like when he quit doing it, they're too young, and it's like, well, whatever. But that's also getting older, like doing the podcast, like from day one till now, it's like 6 years, like just over 6 years. So it's wild to think that like 6 years ago is when we met, basically.
What do you think you were doing this day 6 years ago? Picture an early fall afternoon.
Recording a podcast episode with somebody.
I hope it was me.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Or homework or playing music. That's like most likely what I was doing. That's all I've done in my adult life since, about my mid to late 20s. I was just like, well, we're doing this now, I guess. Like,
just all in on all aspects.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I was always kind of like that, but I was kind of all in on goofing off for a few years. All in. I was still doing stuff, but I wasn't really being too productive, which kind of sucks. But that's what made me start doing a podcast. Oh, we got time to do this. Somebody should do it. I guess I'll do it. And then I did it, and then it's like, you wait for somebody else to do it, and there's like little ones that pop up here and there and go away, and it's like. That's a testament to how not easy this is. Not that I'm trying to like pat myself on the back, but it takes a bit of doing.
There's behind the scenes involved as well, because I'm going to say a word that's not allowed at some point, and it'll be seamless. You won't even know it because of the behind the scenes.
Maybe, but yeah. So like I don't know. I think about I want to just bring it back to like a lot has changed. So like if you're watching this. I don't know if the video versions are going on YouTube or Patreon yet. I haven't decided because my Patreon channel is still going. Again, sorry to anybody that subscribed that has had.
Just thank the followers, yeah.
Thanks, guys. But oh gosh, I feel so bad about that. Anyways, but yeah, so like I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but like if you can't tell, like this is not the Scale House in Barnum.
Yes. What a difference a couple of years makes.
Right? This is not the Scale House. Because even then, like, you moved once. Oh, there, we'll just say it. Like, you moved. Like,
I did.
You moved
it was an entire block.
Yeah, you moved a block away from the Scale House in a different house. And in that, the whole time you lived at that house, my podcast wasn't going.
Nope. It was a refurbished bank in Barnum, Iowa. So our bedroom was like 6-foot wall, concrete vault. Like, didn't know if it was raining or daylight or anything like that. It was awesome.
That's crazy.
It was about twice the size of the Scale House, which many of your viewers are familiar with. It was exactly that. It was a converted Scale House at an old Cargill. So there was not much room there. And now I own a home in Pomeroy, Iowa, home to legendary Byrons.
Yes, legendary Byrons in... now legendary Pomeroy.
Oh, and that much has changed too. I met my now wife, at Byron's at a show I was playing because her dad, the doorman, said, come check this guy out. And she did. She thought I was funny. And then when the time came, we went on a date and we just haven't stopped going on it. But then we got married at Byron's. And then we had our reception at the junkyard where my jams always were.
Yep.
And now we've got a home in Pomeroy.
Yes, and
adulting.
Oh man, isn't it wild to think like how much stuff has actually changed? What do we got here? Got about a half an hour in. We're doing pretty good.
Nice.
But like, so all that stuff has changed, but we've like kind of glossed over. Like, there's a handful of things of all the things you mentioned that have changed. So, like, you moved once, and then you moved out of Barnum.
Yeah.
Which, like, whatever. I mean, you moved. Everybody moves and does stuff. But
God,
like,
I love that town.
I do too. But that means no more Barnum jams.
No, it's just it served its purpose, and it did a lot of great things. There was nothing bad that came out of our Tuesdays. But I think just like everything else, it's got a time to move forward or at least evolve into something else. I was kind of hoping Evan Pratt would take it over, and he wouldn't have to do an every Tuesday, but he's got equipment now, and that's what I provided. I put up the PA for everyone to play through and gave them a space and a welcome space, I hope, in my mind, and everyone just kind of meshed from there.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see it keep going, but I'd like to pass that torch. But I think with Byron starting up 2.0 here in Pomeroy, because he's got a new building, and I was his jam leader on the first Thursdays of every month, I think I could do that again. And it really just gave us a place to congregate. That's what Barnum was to me, was just a place for everyone to get together, because we never see each other. We're always gigging. Like, I asked you what you're doing Friday. You're like, oh, I'm playing with Jesse. I was like, dang it.
First I was like, I don't think I have a show. And then it's like, oh, no way, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
like,
so we never get to see each other. This is a nice random get together, but and it's so Tuesdays in Barnum were just like this. Even if we didn't play a note, it was just great to see everyone again.
I think Tuesdays in Barnum might have been more beneficial to the music scene around Fort Dodge than this podcast was.
Oh, I don't know.
Because like you said, it was everybody's gigging all the time, so we can't ever see each other play. Or maybe we do, but it might be like once a month at most, we might be able to see somebody play. But then, so like you have like a Tuesday night jam in Barnum, which is like a tiny town. It's a nice way to get just like out of town meet up. It's kind of in the middle of everyone, sort of.
It was nice. Kind of, 10 minutes from everything, whereas now I'm about an hour from everything.
Yeah. So I'd talk about on the podcast, like, there's a jam here, and people came to the jam just by listening to the podcast.
Sure, yeah.
Which is pretty wild. So that was a thing, which was kind of crazy to think of, So there was a lot of people going to this jam just to kind of play music with other people and make an impression, and make friends and things like that. So there was a lot of good that came out of that jam. It eventually, like, it ebbed and flowed over the years. Sometimes it was way busier than others,
And after the pandemic, we moved it to every other Tuesday, and I think that was beneficial.
Yeah.
People kind of missed it, rather than like, you get steak every day, you don't care. Mm-hmm. But you can't have it on this day, and you're like, I'd like steak. So you come back, and I think that was great for a while.
Yeah. I agree for sure. There was a point in time for sure where, like, when it was every other week, it was like, this kind of sucks. And then it was just like, well, it is kind of nice, though, because you almost feel like refreshed coming back for a fresh one, like.
Well, and us being in the Eagles jam, the house band last week, that was honestly like, because they took the summer off. So it felt like you got to see everyone you wanted to again.
Yeah,
we missed
sure.
a few, but you got to see a lot of friends you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah. So... that was another one that was kind of cool, because like he advertised it as like, it's the Barnum Jam, basically like it's the Barnum Jam Band or something like that. So it was like
you, me, and B-Rad, not to mention Cole Miner.
Cole, which is cool, which is crazy because I've had all of them on the podcast except for Brad, which is, again, come on, Brad, what are we doing?
The elusive B-Rad is rad.
Always trying to avoid it at all costs, but that's okay. We'll get him on here eventually. Everyone needs to bother him as much as they bothered me when I quit doing the podcast. So.
I agree. I actually gave him a call because you didn't have a card on you for this interview. Mm-hmm. So I called up Brad while you were gone, and I guilt tripped him real hard into it. Like, you should just come over, man.
He's still not coming over.
No, he's still not coming.
No, I get it. I'll have to ambush him sometime. But... yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people I still need to have on the podcast for sure. Let's steer it back to you, though, because, like, for sure, Barnum Jam, great place for everyone to come and enjoy. You go to every other weekend or every other week, and it's like, meh. But then again, that turns out to kind of be a good thing, because every other week we're kind of recharged and ready to go again to do some jams. And then they open up the jam in Byron's. You start doing one here, Byron's in Pomeroy, and that was once a month. And then there was the once a month one at the new place in Fort Dodge.
Oh, Eagles
second floor. So there was, some more jams kind of popping up that you could go to and play a little bit if you really wanted to. So that was kind of fun. But eventually when you moved over here, it was like no more Barnum Jam because it's just not.
Yeah, it was, I think the appeal, not only how great the Dylans were to me, but just being in the hometown, like not having to travel, not having to worry. If you didn't load out your equipment that night, it wasn't a big deal.
There's a cat over there.
Oh, that's little Clint Salad. I named him that because he's orange. And when I was a chubby little kid, my grandma made salad. It's orange salad, like mandarin oranges with like cottage cheese and, Miracle Whip and stuff. So I would eat all of that before the turkey was even done. So they just called it Clint Salad. And then this stray cat found me, and I took him in, and he's all bright orange, so I named him Little Clint Salad.
Wow. That's a great story.
He's a good boy.
I don't know if I'd eat the salad, though.
Oh, it's great.
Okay.
I make it every Thanksgiving. You're welcome to come over.
Oh, I don't know, man. I might pass on that one.
It's a bunch of sugar.
Come over and hang out. You said like cottage cheese and mayonnaise, though?
No. Did I say mayonnaise?
I think, is that what I
God, I hope
heard.
not. I meant Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Maybe you did say that, and I thought.
I might have said mayonnaise. I'm sitting by a cactus.
I don't know. Either way, getting off track. But you come down to Byron's, right? You start running a jam at Byron's, and then Byron's eventually closes, which that's a whole thing. If you haven't heard anything about that, I don't know where you've been. It's been all over the news because people care about Byron's.
Oh, entirely. It's amazing.
And maybe I want to bring Byron on to talk about it eventually sometime.
Oh, yeah. It's the opening of his new building.
Yeah, he was episode 69. I remember that because,
of course.
Nice. So many people made so many jokes about that when I put that out, and it's like, you couldn't have had a better guest. And it's like, I didn't even think about it.
It was a town proposal 420 that passed at the last town meeting to let Byron buy this building.
Fun. That's
420.
Fun. That's funny. Go Byron. But, yeah, so Byron's eventually has to close here, which it already has. But, like, in the timeline, it's like you move here right as it closes, basically. And there's no more jam in Byron's, which is a bummer because there's no more Byron's. It's like, but now there will be a Byron's again.
The reboot, just like Audible Farm.
Reboot, yep. So maybe we need to sit and talk to him about that, about what's happened. Because it's been probably 4+ years since I talked to him on the podcast. But, again, how weird is it that I have a podcast that was actually recorded in Byron's? There was like one of those that was there. So, but I mean, he's had TV stations and all sorts of stuff in there to record stuff.
They call it legendary for a reason.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, that's just what a cult following does, and that place has a lot of people that really like it, and he does a lot of really fun things for the community and the people that come there and enjoy it. So, deservingly so, having a group of people come together and manage basically the Save Byron's Foundation or whatever it was called, which is...
And from across the state.
Yeah, to make sure that it was done well and right and wasn't something that was done with a lot of hostility or emotion or like...
And us hippies, like, we need a legal mind on our side, We're going to have dreams and aspirations, but we're not going to have the planning and...
Bingo.
Prior knowledge,
Well, it's nice to have somebody be like, cross the T's and dot the I's when you're just like, I just wanted to buy this thing, and
oh God, yeah, don't I know?
Yeah, so I mean so a lot really has changed. I mean, since then, like I don't know, it's kind of weird because it feels like there's this giant gap that we need to like fill people in on. It's like, well, here's 10 minutes on it. Good luck filling in all the holes.
Oh yeah, there's been way too much. I guess if I had to summarize it, it's like haven't gone to jail, no children, like just all the big parts. Whereas like my lead guitarist got married, had a baby, bought a house. I guess. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm still in the same.
Well, I don't know.
Got married, bought a house. Knock on wood. It's hard to be a dirty folk musician with a child.
Well, I mean, you say your lead guitarist. That was before I started playing guitar with you.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
that was before the podcast.
Oh, that was the Ramblers.
basically,
Yeah. God, it's been a while. But I saw Justin Stadoff wearing a Blue Ribbon Ramblers throwback T-shirt
Oh, cool.
at Bootleggers the other day, and I thought, they're still out there.
That's out there, man. Well, that's the other thing is like having that merch and stuff is kind of fun. I mean, that's something else we can touch on a little bit. Like, you were never really too much of a merch guy, but now, you know, you and Molly just kind of goofing around will make merch and sell it at shows, which like seems to be beneficial.
Yeah, for sure. It keeps me in cigarettes.
So, I mean, one way or the other, you're making money, which is kind of
Yep.
cool. So, like, what kind of got you started on making merch, I guess? Like, I know, like I said, it's not like you never had it, but like,
It was just always the like startup expense, you know, because you can print 20 shirts easy enough and afford it, but you're going to blow through that hopefully on your first show, and then you use that to buy some pizza and beer, and you don't have extra money for merch anymore. So if you buy in bulk, it's like, oh, okay, this is an investment. And that was always my hardest part, was like justify. It's like I still buy 2 packs of cigarettes rather than a carton, and it's dumb, you know.
all right. So here's like, I want to do like little videos like this, and this might be what I use like the Patreon channel for, but it's like do like tips. So like here's the basic tip. So you spend money to buy shirts, and the money that somebody pays you for shirts, you just don't spend it because that's your shirt money, right? And when it's all said and done, you should have more money than you started with.
You would think, but then there's the gas and the no tip night.
But
and
you did okay without selling shirts in the first place.
it's called self-discipline,
Okay, so like
which I lack.
So yeah, and that's the thing. You just got to do it that way. So like that's as dumb as it sounds. That's why you need a band purse, or you need somebody that knows money a little bit if you want to take this to the next level in any capacity. But like, you know, with shirts and things like that, you said sometimes the barrier is buying a lot. Well, guess what? Now you have a small batch of shirts where you can make one design and only sell a handful of them. And guess what? The next one can be totally different, and you can sell all of those. And you have short runs and limited edition T-shirts now where you can sell them possibly at not like a premium, but you could sort of, in essence, sell them sort of at a premium because they're not going to be much around. And
I do feel bad charging, though. So, like, another big issue is I give away a lot of merchandise.
yeah, I mean, that happens.
I'm like, just, you know, put it in the gun and shoot out a T-shirt. I don't even have a gun. I just throw out T-shirts.
T-shirt gun. Yeah, I get that for sure. Like, I could see where that would be a thing, you know, but that's when you do it with like little things like koozies and stickers and stuff, you know, like with the Three Finger Betty guys, like we always bought so many stickers and things like that where it was like, if somebody buys a CD, just give them a sticker, you know?
Sure.
Like whatever. I buy a T-shirt, give them a sticker. Like, I mean, our stuff isn't even really expensive compared to other bands because we're kind of a buy it, sell it, just make a little bit of money.
And it'd be
just
nice to see your
along the
sticker
way
on,
go.
you know, somebody's van or, yeah.
Bingo. I'd rather have somebody come up and have the shirt, and then it's just like, we'll have a free sticker. I don't care where you stick it. You know, the sticker thing, again, is like, just be malicious with it. Stick it anywhere. Not.
I almost sent you a picture from Barnum the other day. I went to the bathroom, and in the urinal, there's a Audible Farm
Still
sticker
there.
and a Scott Kirkhart sticker right above it.
That's
And
awesome.
At one point, I put one of my Clint Riedel stickers on it, and I don't know if someone thought it was like someone being a jerk, so they ripped it off out of like chivalry, like
That's
saving my name, you know.
That's why you got to put it in the urinal.
Oh, it was right there above Scott Kirkhart's, but like it's gone now, so either it's not really good adhesive or it was just in the sweet spot of urinals.
Well, like those ones were stuck there actually not by me, and the person I know like cleaned and dried and rubbing alcohol the toilet down. So,
not me. I just licked the toilet and then just stuck it on.
I think they might have even heated it. Like,
Damn.
Because they were like, we're going to make this stick. And it's like, well, it'll stick. Those stickers are good.
You know, it wasn't Ashton then. That's above and beyond.
Yeah, so that was pretty fun knowing that got done. But I mean, like, I did that at like venues. I was like, I was such like a trailblazer for like the worst things. Like, I'm going to stick my stickers on urinals because everyone's going to see them.
Yeah, it really makes sense.
And at there's a handful of venues that now, like, the urinals are just like plastered on all sides everywhere with
like
stickers, and it's like, what?
Here's that Joe Biden sticker, like, I did that.
I did that. Oh man, it's hilarious. But I remember seeing them on like gas pumps and things like that sometimes too. It's like, what are people doing with these things? But I don't know. Once they're out of my hands, they're out of my hands. So yeah, merch is fun though. Like having shirts out there and seeing somebody walk around with one of your shirts, like that's sweet, you know.
I think the last 2 times I've caught you at a Jesse Wilson show, you were wearing a Clint Riedel shirt, and I was like, oh, that looks good on you, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to wear your friend's merch, and that's the other thing is like, why not make the merch? And I get that it's like, I don't want to charge for it. It's like, but at the same time, just charge for it. Like, nobody's ripping anyone off. I get it. We're all making T-shirts. We're all selling them for, you know, maybe $20.
And it's not a big profit margin by any means, friends.
No, I mean, there is profit there, but at the same time, it's like, who cares if like I make X amount of dollars and then when you buy a shirt from me and then I just turn around and take the whole thing and just give it back to you to get one of your shirts, or we could just trade for free or whatever, but nobody ever trades. We always just give each other the money.
The barter system, I'm a big fan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of shirts, there's Audible Farm shirts. Go to the shop and buy some. No, I'm just kidding. Don't go to the shop because I haven't cleaned it up and done anything with it. I haven't even looked at that in years either.
I still recommend going to the shop and buying a shirt.
No, hit me up in person and buy a shirt. But yeah, I will ship you a shirt if you want. It's inconvenient. I don't like doing it, so I might charge you for it. I don't know. We'll see. I do have shirts and hoodies, though. I still do have hoodies. It's wintertime. Buy hoodies.
Ooh, and they're quality hoodies. I'm not here to just tell tales out of school. They are really nice and warm and comfortable.
It's funny. That's the thing I get asked for the most.
And when it comes with merch, like, I've ordered like cheap shirts before. They're like, this is the bottom dollar. We can print your stuff on it. I'm like, go for it. And then you get the merchandise and you're like, oh no, there's a reason these shirts are a lot cheaper than like these brand of shirts. And
dude, Bella Canvas, that was your last shirts were Bella Canvas. That's the brand.
Oh God.
All my Audible Farm shirts.
Thank you.
All my Audible Farm shirts were Bella Canvas. Vinny and the Night Prowlers did Bella Canvas shirts. Like, it's the softest. Like,
truly
the best. Love it. But
Gildan, not bad.
Not bad. They come close, but like I still got a bone to pick with them about some of their shirts. And if you like actually go look at the shirts and how many different models they have, it's like, what are we doing here with all these shirts?
Well, we take an inch out of the armpit. Okay.
It's literally that kind of changes on the shirts where it's like, why? Who cares? It's just like, it's just cuz, you know. But like some of the stuff I can see, like with hoodies where it's like the zipper's a different color or something, you know, or whatever. It's like, I get that. Or it's lined differently, or it's...
Those are some of my favorite hoodies with like the white zipper.
White, oh, love it. But again, you're going to pay for it if you go order that stuff, because it's not cheap to get merch, you know, like even just to get like a decent box of shirts that will last you like a month or 2 or 3 is going to be like $500, $600, $700 at least.
You know, bet that startup, man.
You know, it's huge. It's big money. You know, so you got to have that. So again, if you might just have to go find someone that'll make 20 of them for you, or just be like, I'll buy a case worth of shirts.
I'm gonna get a Cricut and just sit there on my Cricut all day long.
Yeah, merch is pretty important, I think. I don't know, you don't need to have it, you don't have to have it, but it's kind of neat to have it. You know, when you had CDs, it was cool to have CDs, you know?
True, yeah.
You know, and that's something you've been talking about again, where making a live CD.
And throwing out that I've been asked a bunch of times about where they can find me, and you helped me create like an online where you could just find my music on all these forums, and I had let that lapse in this amount of time. You know, it's been 6 years, and people keep asking me where they can find me, and I say I have no idea, because I haven't uploaded anything. I think you can find me on YouTube, of course, but other than that, there's no platform. I probably should, after this interview, sit down with you and be like, all right, we're going back. What was your password? Yeah, there definitely needs to be some of that happens. But that's another thing that, like, I mean, I hate to just, like, my job now is marketing, so I get it. But, imagine, like, this is how I think about it. Like, you need to have that stuff organized somewhere. Like, I get it. Like, I still found access to like all but like 2 things for Audible Farm, so I have to go through and like reset passwords on a couple of them because I don't know what the deal with them was, or how I got into them or whatever. But
basically, like, you got to make sure you got all that stuff written down and you can get into it, because you never know when you're going to need to get back into it. You don't have like 40 channels of the same stuff just floating around out there. And like,
I never thought this would be an issue. I was just so excited to be a dude who played guitar in a bar.
Yeah, I mean, that's what kind of stinks about getting it out there. But like, you know, you can have somebody else do it for you. You just got to pay money for it. And there's people out there that'll do it for you. Like, there's people that'll do social media posts for you. There are people that'll do everything for you. But
I'm in, because I was letting Molly do it for a while, and she found it overwhelming. And she's, you know, quite a bit younger than me, and she's still like, I don't know what these kids are doing. I said, me either, man. Yeah.
Well, it gets to be a lot after a while, you know, and like, even just to be like, okay, we're going to make a post every Monday to say these are the shows for the week, and then we're going to make a post on show day. And it's like, well, some weeks you're making 5 posts then, because you're playing 4 shows and you got the Monday post. And then it's like, well, if you had a good time and you saw somebody, then you got to make another post. That doesn't count going on your own social media and posting your own stuff, which...
Oh, and like they say, if you want to stay relevant, you better make 2 a day.
Yeah, you know, 1 a day, 2 a day. It kind of depends. You just kind of want to gain traction. You just want to, like, have stuff out there all the time, kind of bothering people, you know, and that's just kind of how it is. And that's one game I just, like, I'm not looking forward to really playing. I'm just going to, like, put the podcast out there. If people listen to it, they listen to it. It's up to you guys to share it.
I'm excited you're back, man.
Please share it, because that's the only way people are going to know that this is back, you know, because there's so many people, like Scott was talking in his podcast, like he did, you know, he talking with people and they're like, I never even knew this podcast was a thing. I wish I would have known about it. And it's like, well, geez, how many people didn't even know about it, and it was going for 4 years? So, you know, spread the word, tell people about it. It's pretty cool or whatever. So thanks everybody for that, I guess.
Man.
Yeah. So I forget where we were going with all this conversation.
Just the distance that 6 years creates between life, honestly. 6 years ago, if I wasn't doing a podcast with you right now, I would be strumming a guitar, petting my favorite cat, who has since passed away, Goody Two Shoes.
Yep, she was in a couple episodes, possibly.
Yeah, nicest thing you ever met. And then just struggling, you know, looking for a gig. Right now, life is good.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I feel like things have panned out pretty well for a lot of people that we've been talking to on the podcast, like you and Scott, full-time musicians. I mean,
and the way the bandmates have just swapped hands, you know, like we were saying earlier, when I say my lead guitarist, I was referencing Jordan, and then, God, that's been years. You've been my lead guitarist for years now, and just the swapping, like now Corey Waller and the Wicked Things with Caleb. He was Brutals and the Blue Ribbon Ramblers and a few other bands drummer, and now he's pretty much full-time committed because of the success of Corey Waller and Vino, where he's gone from here and there, and just all these musicians changing hands and forming new creations, I think is awesome to watch. Yeah,
it's fun to watch. It's hard to keep track of sometimes. I mean, which was kind of why the podcast comes into play, but yeah, it's fun to see people collaborating with different people. You know, I like at jam nights when people kind of do that stuff. I do also think it's nice when there's like longevity between people. So like I've been playing music with Jesse since
he started.
Yeah, basically since this podcast like started somewhere in there. You know, it's been 2020 basically. You know, beginning of 2020. So like 4 full years now. I've been playing music with Jesse like a lot, to the point where like if we take a little break and we come back and it's just a duo show, it's like bam, here you go, it works. It's great. So you know, we've done it enough where it's like I know where to fill in, I know where to sing with him, I know where to do stuff. And you know, we're doing full band, and at full band it takes a little more coordination, because it's like, you know, usually I fill in this spot because I'm the only one here, but now there's a bassist and a fiddle player,
and the drummer runs the show.
And, you know, there's a steel guitar player and pedal steel player or whatever, you know. So it's like there's a lot of stuff going on here now when it's full band. So it's a little different, you know, like things have changed for sure, you know. And to see him, how he's done, you know, how well he's done. He's like every week, you know, playing 3, 4, 5 shows. You know, I mean,
on top of being a dad and having a full-time job.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, like, I've even, you know, I know it weighs on him because I've seen him turn down shows because he's like, they're like, oh, I have an afternoon show today. It's like, well, I'm I'm going home to spend time with my kid tonight, though. Like,
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have even come out this afternoon for a show. It's like, yeah, but we'll pay you this. And it's like, I can't. I'm sorry. Like,
No, you can keep your money, and that's sometimes fun at a show. Is like, oh, here comes the train.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll get the train on here. How loud's it going to be? Pretty loud?
It's not as bad as the Skill House.
Yeah, we can just start wrapping this baby up. But it's crazy to think about like all the things that have changed. And we probably have glossed over a lot of them, or didn't go enough in depth about some of them, or maybe like messed up the timeline a little bit on a couple of them.
I feel like we were just catching up. It's been a while.
But yeah, I mean, we're catching up with everyone else out there. If you guys are listening to this is the first time you've ever heard Clint, go back and listen to the old episodes. There's like 6 or 7 of them. You can kind of get to know him a little bit better if you've never talked to him before, or if if you like him and you never knew there were other episodes out there, go check them out for sure. I do want to, just kind of like recap the episode, I guess. Like, we talked a little bit about, kind of having merch and sometimes having other people take care of your stuff for you, and possibly even paying professionals to do it, because if that's what you want, it's just easier, and maybe the other thing we talked about a lot was the more things change, maybe the more they stay the same.
Yeah. all these interactions, and you can still catch Pete and I playing together.
Yeah, that's crazy. So thanks for sitting down with me, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime. I'm glad you came out.
All right, there we go. An episode with Clint. It's there. Check out all of Clint's links down below. There's not a whole lot of them right now. He does have a Bandcamp, though. I don't know if we discussed that in this episode. I did re-find the Bandcamp page, so we need to find a way to beef that back up for him and get his other albums on there that aren't on there. There's at least one album I know of that's not on there that should be, and another one that could be if it's not on there yet. So plus there's like a single that came out, so he's got some extra stuff out there that's not accessible maybe to the public readily. Occasionally does have CDs though, so when he has CDs, buy one, because they go like hotcakes, and then it might be a while before he makes another one. So that's we talked about that in the merch game. It's just kind of a tough thing to do. Just I guess if you're going to do the merch game, try and parlay it into more merch every single time. That's probably the best bet. But again, it kind of just depends on who's doing what. So I just want to say thanks once again, Clint Riedel. Check out all of his links down below. Definitely follow his Facebook. That's where all the goods are at. So you want to find events coming up, things like that, that's the best place to find it. And so that's the end of that episode. We got a cat coming into the picture for everybody watching. This is Kitty. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. So yeah, check out Clint Riedel online. Otherwise, I just want to say thanks once again before we take off to the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association for helping us out with this episode. I appreciate it. Brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. So check them out. I got a link down below for them too as well. So check out them. And also check out that FDT episode we did. FDT, TEA. That's TEA. Episode 1. It was a fun one. It's a great one. Definitely worth checking out. Shelly Bodorf. Tons of fun. Always tons of fun. So definitely check those out. And I am out of here. audiblefarm.com. Peace.